Well, I just came up with possibly the most creative idea I've ever had. Now, if you remember back from my older videos, you may remember me talking about a very particular show. But not just any show, possibly my favorite show from my childhood. And no, if you're going to ask, it's not like a children's show, like an old preschool show like Lazy Town or Blue's Clues or something. I mean, those were part of it, but it's not like an animated series. What it was actually was a documentary. And believe it or not, I still have a place for this particular documentary. Not only considering it as one of my favorites, but also one of the greatest documentaries of all time. I'm of course talking about The Future is Wild. Now, I will confess it has been a very long time since I've last seen The Future is Wild. But what I do remember most about it is that it's so creative and it's so imaginative that the show actually points out that these animals could someday evolve in the future. And that's what I love about the show. It's inventive, it's imaginative, and it's creative. But keep in mind that the scientists talking about these animals that could one day live on our planet, these are just ideas and just, theories of what could evolve in the future. But to its credit, every time a new episode airs, or of course when I see a new episode, I always get admired by the landscapes, the world building, and the animals that thrive it. It always finds new ways to surprise me, and I never get tired of it. And as a matter of fact, in the first episode of the series, some of the scientists even explain that these animals could evolve in the future.
We look around the world right now, we see a huge number of very different things. Organisms you would never in your wildest dreams invent. Organisms you couldn't possibly imagine could make their lives that way. Beetles that live off of tiny bubble aqualungs underwater. Or the rhinoceros. Imagine the rhinoceros. If you didn't know they existed, would you have drawn one?
From studying the past, we can see certain trends in animals and animal evolution. And we can say that in the future, certain things are going to result because of circumstances developing in a certain way.
So there are a whole series of rules, as it were, of how life has evolved, how life has changed and adapted through time, that we can test by taking our understanding of the present day and looking back in the past. It is no great leap of faith, then, to turn around and go in the other direction to the future, to go forward and create some of the organisms which are unusual, imaginative, but possible.
And you're probably wondering, why am I talking about The Future is Wild in the first place? Well, I decided I wanted to make my own series based off The Future is Wild. Now, I know I already did like 3 years ago, and surprisingly, I even got a comment from the creator of the show, which that actually took me by surprise. So then I decided, I love the show so much, why don't I just make my own adaptation, talk about each of the timelines, each of the creatures, and tell people what could happen millions of years from now. And to its credit, I do have an idea for my new series, but that will have to wait. But don't worry, you don't have to wait about 100 million years from now. But once I have an idea, then I'll let you know. And by the way, if you actually want to go ahead and check out the series, I'll leave a link to the description box below where you can check out the whole series of The Future is Wild. So once I get my idea in, then the new show will begin. But until then, I will see you guys later. And always remember, the future might be strange, the future might be scary, but one thing we can all agree on is that the future is wild.